What we do? No problem. Tell everybody. Is this going on TV or what?
Oh, nationally televised.
Oh, no.
And we're going to pick up action in the boys B. As this is the final game of the match between the Cougars of Northeastern and the Vikings of Moriah. And a nice spare by David Brown. David Brown, a newcomer to the boys B team. And he spares his first shot in the first frame. As we have third bowler Don Johnston. Johnston strikes. Mark Steen bowling the third bowler for Northeastern. Steen gets 8 pins. And the fourth bowler, Jason Allen for Moriah. Jason gets 7. And Steen picks up his spare. And again, the Moriah coach, Sue Nephew. The boys are 28 and 29. Has Allen, or Jason Allen goes by his spare. Norm Buno's boys are 35 and a half and 30 and a half, 6 points out of first place. Jeremy Delisle. Delisle gets 7 pins as anchor bowler, and Jerry Ashline will strike for Moriah. And again, we'll try to update whatever we can in a moment, and then there'll be we will update the whole bowling match at the end of all 3 games as we can. As Delisle shoots to end to fourth bowler in the first frame, he spares. Pat Beath leads off for the Cougar boys in the second. Jamie Kreller strikes to end the first for the Cougar boys. As Beath begins the second, he misses the 5-pin. Well, the Cougars pick up 4 marks, and the Moriah boys pick up 3 with 3 strikes. As Alan Arno has one of the strikes, and he looking for a double. He gets 8 pins. Alan, one of the smaller bowlers on the Moriah staff, as you can notice. David Brown, working on a spare, gets 7 pins. Arno spares, so Arno, leadoff bowler for Moriah, picks up a strike and a spare to lead off the third game as Brown gets 9 for his frame. The boys B won the first game. Northeastern's boys B 994 to 817. They lost the second game to Moriah 978 to 916. As second bowler Chris Munson got a gutter. Steen gets 7. First game, Northeastern has Mark Steen with 181, Jeremy Delisle with 195, and Jamie Kreller 154. High game for Moriah was Jason Allen with 121. In the second game, as Munson gets 7 pins, Steen gets 9 for the frame. Jerry Ashline bowls a 201, which is 67 pins above his 125 average, or 76 pins above his 125 average, as in the win for Moriah. Jeremy Delisle turned in another good game at 182. As the third bowler Don Johnston gets 6 pins for Moriah. Delisle strikes in the second. Again, Delisle had games of 195 and 182 to go with his 154 average. Johnston, who just opened, has games of 107 and 110 to go with his 120 average. As Kreller, looking for a double, leaves the 7-pin. Jamie, anchor bowler for Northeastern, a 154 average bowler. He had games of 154 and 143. And fourth bowler for Moriah, Jason Allen. Allen, a 124 average bowler, had games of 121 and 136 as Kreller goes by the 7-pin. And the Cougars get one mark on a strike by Delisle. And leadoff bowler Alan Arno for Moriah gets a split, the 4-6-7. Arno averages 118 and he had games of 99 and 127. As Allen gets 7 for the frame. Bringing up the anchor bowler, Jerry Ashline. Ashline at 125 average, had a 114 game and then a nice 201 game. And Arno goes in the gutter, his second shot. And Ashline strikes. That's a double for Jerry Ashline, leading off starting off where he finished last game. As Munson gets a gutter, Beath leads off for Northeastern in the third frame, and Pat strikes. Beath, a 137 average bowler, had games of 117 and 98. As Munson, who averages 118, had games of 81 and 109. Munson shooting his second ball. Gets 5 pins for the frame. David Brown leaves the 7-10 split. One of the most nastiest leaves in bowling. The widest split there is. And David, a 136 average bowler, had games of 135 and 145. As the third bowler, Don Johnston. Brown gets one of his 2 pins. Johnston, who averaged 120, had games of 107 and 110. Steen bowling for Northeastern. Mark, 134 average bowler, had games of 181 and 136. As Johnston spares, Steen leaves a pocket 8-10 split. Steen gets one of his 2. Jason Allen gets 7. And yeah, do you have to put the top 5 averages on the A team or not? You do now? Is that a rule or always been?
Always been.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Well, the top out of the 10,
Yeah.
top 5. Oh,
Hi,
yeah.
hi, hi, hi.
Really? Oh, I didn't know.
Hi, 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 hi.
Has to be. Have no choice.
Okay.
Hi, hi,
All
hi,
right.
hi. Hi.
And as we were checking in with Mr. Norm Bono on a rule that we were asking about, he states that your top 5 average bowlers must be on the A team, and your next 5 average will make up the B team. That's the way the rule is. So now we know, as we were wondering earlier in the last game, as we see Jerry Ashline sparing to end the third frame, Kreller strikes to end the third frame for Northeastern. Leadoff bowlers in the fourth, Pat Beath, for the Cougars. Pat gets 7 pins. And Alan Arno for Moriah, as Arno gets 4. The Cougar boys are up on total pins, 19-10 to 17-95. Has Beath rockets one off the wall and picks up his spare. Arno gets 8 for the frame. The handicap is 212 for Northeastern, 295 for Moriah. So it is a 83 or 8 mark spot for the Cougar boys. As you can see, the Cougar teams this evening have spotted a great deal of pins to visiting Moriah. As Brown gets 9 pins, his first shot in the fourth frame. And he spares. We hope you're enjoying. This is our third game in the Moriah Vikings Northeastern Cougars bowling match, as Chris Munson gets his third gutter in a row on his first shot, as Steen gets 1 pin. Munson getting 7 for the frame. Steen spares, nice spare by Steen. And after 3 frames, it's 17 marks for Moriah and 7 marks for the Cougars. So the Cougars are down 10 marks or 100 pins with 7 frames to go, as the 3 Cougar boys have marked to begin the fourth frame. Fourth bowler Delisle's up, and no one is yet to mark for Moriah, as their third bowler Johnston's up. Delisle strikes in the fourth. The boys' record is reflected by the amount of points that both the A and B team take, as Johnston misses his spare. Jamie Kreller drops the ball behind him, picks off 3 pins. Kreller was on a strike. So the boys A and B make up the 8 points, 1 for each game and 1 for total. Back to action with Kreller finishing up the fourth frame. And he will get 7 for the frame. And the Cougar boys will manufacture 4 marks. And that'll give them 11 after 4 frames, as Allen gets 9 for the frame for Moriah. Arno will begin the 5th frame with 9. As we move to the anchor bowler to finish the 4th frame, Jerry Ashline. Ashline working on a double and a spare. He gets 8. And we'll be right back. A word from our sponsors. And back we are. Again, patronize those sponsors. They're helping you. They're helping me and Calvin to bring Hometown Cable into your home. As Arno goes by his spare, Ashline picks up his. So Ashline's the only one that marks for Moriah in the 4th frame, giving them 18 marks to the 11 for the Cougars. So the Moriah boys are ahead 7 marks, or 70 pins, as we move into the 5th frame. Beath on a spare, he will get 3 pins. as Munson gets his 4th gutter ball in a row on his first shot. Chris struggling a bit here in the 3rd game. Will get 7 for the frame. As Beath spares. Nice spare by Beath. To lane 14 and Don Johnston.
Second bowler got a gutter and 7. Gutter and 7 for the second bowler.
Johnston gets 3 pins his first shot. As Brown for Northeastern working on a spare, he will get 9, leaving just the 2 pin. As Johnston spares, Brown also spares. We've been informed that the Northeastern girls have won both of their matches, and they're up around 100 pins on total. So we'll update you after the 3rd game is done on both the boys and girls matches. And again, welcome those of you that are just tuning us in. As this is Mark Steen up for Northeastern. He gets a strike in the 5th frame. We've already covered the girls and the boys A, so check your local listings for times that you might be able to view the first 2 games. And sit down and we'll finish up this game for you. As Jason Allen for Moriah Vikings gets 6 and a spare. Delisle for Northeastern working on a strike, looking for a double, and he's a little off balance. He gets 7. As Jerry Ashline gets 8 pins. Ashline, a 125 average anchor bowler for Moriah. Looking for his 5th spare in a row, 5th mark in a row, and he gets it. Delisle spares, as all 4 bowlers in the 5th frame have marked for Northeastern. 3 of the 5 bowlers have marked for Moriah. As Beath will start out the 6th frame for Northeastern. Kreller will end the 5th frame for the Cougars, and he gets 7. Don't forget our Sunday night special here at the Bowl Mart, 8:30 to midnight, 50 cents a game. As Beath spares, so that's Pat's 4th mark in a row. Kreller drops the ball and he opens.
Your special keeps getting longer every time you mention it, Jim. The sign says 9 o'clock. The first time you mentioned it was 8:45. Now you've just stretched it to 8:30. What time does that special start anyway?
Well, the league gets done around 8:30, so people can get on the lanes between probably 20 minutes and 9. And usually if you're able to get a lane, usually you want to be here by 8:45. Usually we fill up pretty good by 9 o'clock. As the specials caught on a great deal in the area. Arno leads off for Moriah with 9. Brown gets 8 for the Cougars. And Arno will spare to begin the 6th frame. Brown just gets enough of the head pin and tip it over. And he's got his 3rd spare in a row. As Munson this time gets 1 pin on his first shot. As Steen gets his first shot in the 6th frame. Steen working on a strike. None of the Cougars have yet to double, as the anchor bowler Ashline for Moriah started with a double in the 1st and 2nd frame. A double is 2 strikes in a row. And then you keep going, triple, 4-bagger, 5-bagger. As Munson gets 4 for the frame, Steen gets 1 of his 2 pins, gives him 9. And if anyone has any questions about bowling, feel free to stop in the Bowl Mart or call. We'll be happy to answer anything that you'd like to know that we can come up with. Third bowler Don Johnston leaves the 2-9 split. Very few times you're going to see that split on the lane because the head pin got knocked out, as Delisle gets 8 for his first shot in the 6th. Johnson gets 1 of his 2 pins. We're in the 6th frame of the final game between the visiting Moriah Vikings and home Northeastern Cougars at the Bowl Mart Lanes. As Delisle shooting his spare, he covers it nicely. Jason Allen, 124 average bowler, 4th bowler for Moriah, gets 7. Delisle averages 154 for the Cougars. And also does Kreller, as he gets 5-6 pins, his first shot in the 6th frame. Allen spares. Then Kreller gets 9 for his frame.
Jim, a couple of events that bowling fans on Hometown Cable look forward to every year is the King of the Hill and the Queen of the Hill. Are any plans to have those again this year?
Yes, we'll have them again. They're usually towards the end of the bowling season, and we usually wait for a couple weeks before bowling season ends in case, like, if there's a snow day and they have to make up a time or whatever. We try to we also look around and see if there's softball games and try to make it to where as many bowlers can make it as they can. Well, yes, we will have it, and it will be televised on Hometown Cable if you're available, which I hope you are, as people come and defend their crowns, hopefully. Maybe this time I can get on.
I was just going to mention that's one of the nice things that you've always, except for one year, you've always made yourself available for the microphone by not being in the top 5.
Well, that's true. This year might be a different story, though. I'm not bowling very well now, and if I can get hotter as the year goes on, hopefully I will be able to make the top 5. But we had a good crowd last year, and I believe we've added air conditioning to the place this year, that if it's even a warm night, we might be able to attract more bowlers, and it'll be a good turnout. As you see, Chris Munson got 2 gutters that time on both first and second shot. Pat Beath goes by the 5-pin. That was Beath's open after he had four marks in a row. After 6 frames, we see 23 marks for Moriah and 18 for the Cougars, so they've cut it to 5 marks or 50 pins with 4 frames to go, as David Brown gets 7 for Northeastern. Don Johnston gets 5 for Moriah. And Johnston gets 2 more, giving him 7 for the frame. As Brown picks up his spare. And Jason Allen leaves the 5-pin, as Steen will be bowling for the Cougars. Steen will leave the 5-8 spare. Again, like I said earlier, a lot of 5-pins are left, basically because the balls are lighter than the ones that usually adults use, and they deflect more. Plus, they're throwing them pretty much straight, so they don't have a lot of drive to them. As Allen goes by the 5-pin, Steen picks up his spare. And again, we will update our viewing audience as soon as we get all the scores and statistics from the coaches right afterwards. Again, the coach from Moriah, Sue Nephew, and for Northeastern is Mr. Norm Bunno. As the anchor bowler for Moriah, Jerry Ashline, gets 7 pins here as he's finishing up the 7th frame. Delisle for Northeastern, he gets 8, leaves the double wood. As Ashline spares. It's the only mark that Moriah has gotten in the 7th frame. The Cougars have already got 2 marks, and they got 2 bowlers to go. As Delisle gets 1 pin, he's pretty picky to get the back one. And Beath will lead off the 8th frame for Northeastern with 5 pins. Kreller's going to finish the 7th frame, and Jamie will get 7. As Beath ends up with 8 for the frame, Pat, a 137 leadoff bowler, struggling today. As Kreller spares, he's 154 anchor bowler. So the Cougars will pick up 3 marks in the 7th. So they will cut the lead to 3 pins, 3 points, or 30 pins with 3 frames to go. And Brown, David Brown, will get 8 pins. Alan Arno will rock it and leave a 10 pin. We have 3 frames to go. This is the final game of the home match for Northeastern visiting Moriah. There are 7 other schools in the CVAC bowling, and so there's 14 matches, 7 home, 7 away. As Brown spares, Arno misses the 10 pin. Mark Steen up for Northeastern. Steen will get 5 pins. Chris Munson for the Vikings, and Chris will leave the 5-10 split. Again, we'd like to welcome all our viewers from all different areas. And if you do not have hometown cable and you're watching this at a friend's house, if you'd like to see something that you missed, if you give Calvin a call, I'm sure he has a tape for you. As Steen and Munson both open in the 8th frame. As Calvin does many different events on hometown cable, not only sports, but different community events that are interesting and people like to watch. As Delisle will get 7, and so will Johnston. Delisle, shooting his 3-pin spare, gets 2 of the 3. Johnston also gets 2 of the 3. So as we're coming down to the final couple frames, seems like both teams are starting to run out of gas. And they're just going through the motions to get done. As Kreller gets 6 pins. Jason Allen will put one up into the stands as he gets a gutter. Kreller spares in the 8th frame, and the Cougar boys pick up 2 marks as Allen ends up with 3 for the frame. Arnold begins the 9th frame, leaving the 5 pin. Jerry Ashline will finish out the 8th frame with 8. Alan Arno spares the 5 pin to begin the 9th frame for Moriah. And Ashline goes by his 2. So the Cougar boys muster 2 marks, the Moriah boys muster 1. So it's 25 to 23. 2 marks or 20 pin difference. Moriah ahead of Northeastern by 20 pins or 2 marks with 2 frames to go. Beath gets 1 for Northeastern. Munson gets 7 for Moriah. 118 average Chris Munson gets 7 pins. 137 average bowler Pat Beath got 1 pin as Munson misses his 3 pins. Beath leaves 3 pins. And we move to Johnston for Moriah. He gets 8. As the Cougars will send up David Brown, second bowler. Brown shooting in the 9th frame, working on 5 spares. Will have a very difficult one here as he leaves double pinochle to 4, 6, 7, 10. As Johnston spares for Moriah. It's another game. Looks like it's going to go down to the last couple bowlers, as we saw the first 2. And Brown gave it a run. He gets 7 for the frame. He had the right idea. As Jason Allen gets 9. There's a clappings for Gay over there. He had a double after he struggled the first part of his last game. Steen beats the head pin. He leaves the 4, 6, 7. So Brown and Steen both have big splits in the 9th frame as Jason Allen spares. 3 of the 4 bowlers for Moriah have marked in the 9th frame so far, and Steen gave that one a pretty good shot. None of the bowlers have marked yet for Northeastern as Jerry Ashline gets 9, leaves the 10 pin. On lane 13, Delisle will be shooting. And he strikes in the 9th frame. Jeremy had 2 pretty good games. His first 2, 185, 192, as Ashline missed the 10 pin. So we'll have 3 marks for Moriah. We'll give him 28 as Kreller leaves the 4 pin. We're moving into the 10th frame, the final frame of this match between Moriah and Northeastern. If you just tuned in, check your listings to catch the whole 3 games as Pat Beath leaves the 7 pin. Kreller with a spare can try to keep it close and he misses it. So Delisle's the only mark that Northeastern boys get in the 9th frame. So they have 24 to 28 for the Vikings. And it is a 40 pin or 4 mark difference with 1 frame to go as Beath leads off the 10th with a spare. Arno gets 3 pins, his first shot in the 10th frame. Beath shooting his fill ball. He gets 8 pins, so he gets 18 for the frame. He goes 127, 10 pins under his 137 average. Excuse me, he goes 129, which is not 8 pins under his 137 average. As Arno spares, big spare for Arno to lead off the 10th for Moriah. As David Brown gets 5, his first shot. Arno gets 19 for the frame. He goes 126. 8 pins above his 118 average. And after 2 bowlers with handicap, it's 421 for Moriah and 341 for Northeastern. As Brown gets 2 more, gives him 7 for the frame. So David will go 137, exactly his average. As Munson gets 3 pins, 4 pins, his first shot. Steen gets 6. Munson gets his first mark here in the 10th frame. And again, we'll bring you the updates as fast and as soon as we get them from the other 2. They're just finishing up also. So everyone will be getting done right around the same time as Steen goes 123, 11 pins under his 134 average, as Munson goes 67. So Chris is 51 pins under his 118 average. And after 2 bowlers, we're knotted at 488 apiece. And we have 8 pins for Delisle and 8 pins for Johnston. Delisle shooting a split, needs to go right between the ball, right between the pins with the ball, and he gets 1 of his 2 pins. Johnston's spare right in the middle of the lane.
Yeah, he was back last week.
And he misses it. So Johnston, a 120 average bowler, goes 128, so he's 8 pins above his average. And after 3 bowlers, it's 616 for Moriah, 601 for Northeastern, so it's a 15 pin difference. As Kreller gets 9 pins for the frame. Delisle goes 147, 7 pins under his 154 average. Kreller goes 126, which is 18 under his average. As Allen opens in the 10th. Allen goes 113, 11 pins under his average. And after 2 bowlers, it's 7:29 for Moriah. After 4 bowlers, excuse me, 7:29 for Moriah, 7:48 for Northeastern. Northeastern is finished, and they got 874. Jerry Ashline is up. He needs 150 for a win, and he's got it. He did 147 plus a spare, so it looks like it's going to be a split here with the boys B. Boys B taking the first game by almost 200 pins and winning total. But again, we will update you as quick as we get them, as Jerry Ashline gets what we call a domino strike. So he doesn't hit the head pin. They just domino back. As he gets 167, which is 42 pins above his 125 average, and the Moriah boys will win this game 896 to 874. And again, we'll have an update in a moment. And as we watch our friend Dick Macy, one of the hardest workers at the Bowl Mart, we will update you with the girls won their match 4-0 behind a 451 from Michelle Young with a 177 game and a 424 from Carrie Arno. The boys B split 2-2. The boys A won 3-1. The Northeastern boys. So the Northeastern boys win 5-3. Gooley gets 206. Welch with 183. Jeremy Patry 193. Gooley with a 198 for Northeastern boys A. Delisle goes 195, 182 for boys B. And that's it from the Bowl Mart. The girls win 4-0. The Northeastern girls win 4-0. The Northeastern boys win 5-3 against the Moriah Vikings. And again, thank